What I'm hearing you describe is really a system for managing workflow. Things are going to come in, whether I get in early and think I'm serene and ready for the day, and then the next email or the next phone call comes through, or whether I realize it's one of those times where I have a lot of things on my plate. It's really just a flow that we're having to deal with. But you've got 5 keys to be able to do that more effectively. Could you talk to me about those?
Sure. And they're really the 5 keys that we all really do. Anytime you get something under control, you actually do these 5 steps. Most people aren't aware of them. What I did was just unpack it and say, hey, here's 5 things we do to get our kitchen under control or get a meeting under control. And you're right, it is a flow. The problem is if you don't apply these techniques, the flow backs up like bad plumbing. And you want to get it into flow. So what the flow is really 5 steps. First of all, you need to capture the things that are not on cruise control. You need to identify those. What's pulling me right now, what's not on automatic. Then you need to clarify exactly what those mean and what you're going to do about them, if anything. What the outcome is, an action step required to engage with that appropriately. Where do I organize? Step 3 would be, where do I park reminders of those things appropriately in some trusted way, so that step 4, I can step back and review and reflect on that whole inventory. The 16 calls I need to make, the 75 projects I have going, the 3 things to talk to my chairman of the board about, the 6 things I need from the hardware store. I need to then be able to park those in appropriate places, so that then when I'm in appropriate context, I engage. Step 5, I engage my attention and my resources from a trusted place. I know what I'm not doing, I know what I am doing, and I can see it against the whole inventory. I still may make mistakes, live and learn, but it's from a trusted place called the best I can see, this is exactly what I need to do now, as opposed to I'm just being driven and hope that what I'm doing is right. So those 5 steps, and each one of those has its own best practices and worst practices and its own tools and techniques. It's not just one thing. It's not just go get organized. There really is a flow to that process.
What I'm hearing you describe is a real system for helping someone be intentional about the steps that almost come naturally. And by being more intentional about each step, becoming more effective with each one. Does that resonate for you?
Exactly. And let me give you an example of something, just to make this a bit more concrete and real for people listening and watching this. I bet everybody at some point has felt somewhat overwhelmed and confused and sat down and made a list and felt a little bit better, a little bit more in control, a little bit more focused. And if you had actually reverse engineered how'd that happen, you are moving into more optimal self-management with control and focus, but nothing in the world changed. What changed is the most critical thing you need to change, which is how you are engaged with your world just changed. And that you can manage and master no matter what's going on, is how you're engaged with it. You may not like it. It may be something that's a challenge. Of course, life's a challenge. But it's not something that you're then feeling victimized about. And you're in the flow with it. I'm appropriately engaged with the flat tire. I'm appropriately engaged with my upset mother-in-law. I'm appropriately engaged. So you're really after appropriate engagement, and that does require you to capture, clarify, organize, reflect, in order to then trust that engagement is exactly where you need to be and what you need to do.